Before you begin, you may wish to find yourself a comfortable, safe space where you know you will not be interrupted, not be interrupted, not be interrupted, not be interrupted, not be interrupted. Welcome everybody to the next edition of the Rebel Heart Tarot Talk, where myself and Niki are going to be talking to Tony and Aileen Grist, who also happen to be my father and stepmother, all about how they were involved with the Rebel Heart Tarot, the cards they appeared in, and of course, their mystical, spiritual, intriguing backgrounds. So welcome, Dad Nails, Aileen and Tony. And hi, Niki.
Hi. I'm so excited to meet Dad and Aileen. I really am. It's brilliant. Faces to names, and also
Joel helped, yes.
Yeah, I do like to drag them along into everything I do. So
good.
We dragged you along to enough things.
It's my revenge.
Well, I was going to say that because Alice was telling us the other day about the connection with you guys and how she ended up getting into tarot, and it was kind of through your...
And a healing of a gerbil.
Oh, go on. What was that?
We went over to a learning meeting for Wicca, and she was with us. And we were learning hands-on healing. And we had a very poorly gerbil who was at the end of his life, blood coming from his nose and mouth, very pathetic. Anyway, Alice did this healing with us. And when we got home, she decided to heal the gerbil. And the following morning, after her doing her hands over him and all the rest of it, he was as bouncy as they come and did about another 3 months, which when you think is a large part of a gerbil's life when they only live 2 years. Yeah, she did really well, yes.
That's amazing. What a story.
Yeah.
You'd forgotten that one, hadn't you, Alice?
No, I remember it. I do talk about it sometimes. I think it was in and amongst all the magic that went on. You know, I was a teenager, so I think teenagers are quite powerful in terms of they're still really into that inner child essence, but they're also burgeoning into that hormonal kind of adult. And there's just this mishmash of
and a the life force.
Yes, that's how you get a lot of poltergeists are attracted to teenagers because of the chaotic energy. They run on it, yeah.
Yeah, I was reading a book about one of the books you gave me. I'm sure from that lot of books, hundreds of books you received from your gardener's witchy mother that you then gave to me. And I was reading a book, and it did seem that poltergeist energy and just phenomenon did seem to emanate from teenagers.
Almost always,
especially teenage girls.
There's usually a teenage girl in the house where poltergeist phenomenon occur.
Wow. I'm loving this. I need to be taking notes.
Was there any poltergeist activity when your daughter was a teenager, Niki, or anything peculiar that you can put a finger on?
No, not that I can remember. No, just she was very moody at the time. So yeah, there was enough of that going on without adding anything extra to
it. There probably have to be other factors like, trouble at mill.
Which parents?
Divorced parents.
Yeah, divorced parents, all that sort of shit.
Yeah. There was going into witchcraft, everything.
Oh dear, yeah. No one comes out of that kind of background unscathed, do they?
No, they don't.
Totally messed up.
Yeah. But in a fun way.
Well, I'm doing all right.
You are.
All of that mess and chaos has gone into here, for sure.
With 2 daughters, you've got it to come.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, they're already little magical beings, I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's talk about the fact that you guys are in this deck, in and amongst many other people. So there's people within this deck. I mean, there's no real model. I think maybe there's a couple of cards that you use like a stock image of a model type person, maybe one card, but the rest of them are people we've known,
I
people
think they're all people we know.
They all are.
Yeah,
Okay,
they all are.
you're wrong there.
Great idea, that. I love it.
It is, yeah. It's a very good idea.
But it really fed into the meaning to each card. So at first, it was like we need bodies, but then it became, oh, well, this body has this story attached to them, and this is how we know this person, and this is their name. So I'll look at the cards now, and it's such a different way of reading the cards, because I'm reading the stories and the people and the kind of their life events before I'm connecting to whatever I think the card might mean at any given moment. So yes, it's a really interesting twist on tarot. I'm going to locate your cards, but perhaps you could tell me and Niki about your guys' journey with tarot.
When I was a schoolgirl, I used to read playing cards for other kids at school. And I did it as an adult at times as well. And also went to readers who only used playing cards. And then I got interested in tarot. Somebody I worked with only used the majors, didn't use any of the minors. And then when I met your father, he was such a weirdo that we started doing tarot. You already did tarot.
In a small way, yeah. I got into tarot through reading a book which had a big vogue back in the 60s, I suppose. It was apparently the book on Mick Jagger's night table in 1969.
What was it?
It's called, oh yeah, might want to know that. It's called The Black Arts, by a guy called Richard Cavendish, who died a few years ago. I doubt it's in print any longer, but it kind of went through all the esoteric practices, tarot, magic,
Black mirrors,
yeah, everything, which Wicca, and kind of, it was very readable, skated across the surface, but it gave you quite a lot of information. And it broke new ground because people weren't writing popular books about esoterica at the time. And yeah, and the tarot particularly fascinated me because of the cool pictures, I think. And I sort of integrated that into my psyche at the time.
I'm assuming this happened after you were a Church of England vicar.
Oh no, this is in my teens. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
At the time of being on Mick Jagger's bedside table.
Mick Jagger and I were reading the same book, and that's only one of the ways in which we resemble one another. Moves.
Is it going cold?
Mick Jagger.
You don't know.
Missed out on that one.
Yeah.
I love that you have got such a sort of like a diverse way of having kind of traveled through spirituality and faith over the years. Kind of what drew you into the Church of England?
I thought it was a way of doing spirituality that was available. I mean, I didn't know any black magicians or witches at the time or anyone much else, but I had an Anglican background. And I thought, well, I can believe in this stuff pretty much if I set my mind to it. I will go down this route. I sort of found out fairly soon after I'd been ordained, so, no backing out.
Once they got you.
Once they got me, that it didn't feel right. But,
Right, okay.
By which time you had a wife and children.
Children probably
difficult.
Children on the way, I think. Well, no, not even on the way. Just a wife at that stage, but I kind of fenced myself in, so I made the best of it.
Alice and I were talking, weren't we, about faith and how it's kind of, it must be a wonderful thing to have that faith or a faith of some kind where you have that surety about it. But I think for other people that perhaps don't have that, tarot and spirituality have a kind of a similar connection, in the sense that it's that connecting to other, isn't it? And also connecting to self.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And maybe no set of dogmas a perfect fit. You have to sort of squash parts of yourself down to fit into a dogmatic framework of organized religion.
So where's your faith at these days?
Oh, I believe in consciousness. I think the universe is conscious. In fact, the multiverse, because there's more than one universe. And the ultimate consciousness, which some people call God, but I don't like the word very much, is out there sort of experiencing itself. And we are fragments of that, tiny fragments that somehow containing the whole of that huge consciousness that is everything that is. So we have the ability, though it's very hard when we're incarnated like this, to access the
divine,
the source of the source. But yeah, I was trying to think of a phrase that someone launched at me the other day, which I quite liked.
The one about the hologram.
Oh well, yeah. That is something else, actually. Yeah, that we're all like holograms of the eternal consciousness. So we do contain everything inside ourselves, only we've kind of shut down our access to it because we're undergoing a earthly existence as a kind of fun thing to do.
So we are both going to Quaker meetings, because that hour of silence of trying to contact God within, or spirit, creator, call it whatever, is easier if there's a few of you.
Which is interesting, because I've been talking within these meetings I'm having with Niki and other people. One of the things that's coming through for me with tarot at the minute is that for the most part, since I learned with you guys like 30 odd years ago, I was always reading tarot by myself or reading on a one-to-one basis. But I'm finding at the moment the greatest power that tarot holds is when you read within a group and when everybody contributes. So there's no one person kind of reading for the others. It's everybody's got a little bit of something to say, and it almost blossoms it out into this wider consciousness that is really helpful. Not least in sort of figuring out where people are, but in connecting on a really beautiful level that we don't often do.
I think that's a word we keep coming back to with this, isn't it? Is that connection and community.
Yeah. Connection, community.
That the more individual consciousnesses are involved, the bigger and more powerful the result will be. The group consciousness is bigger than the individual consciousnesses.
Yeah.
You go into the Quaker meeting and the bells of the Anglican church down the road stop. So it's very quiet and you can feel the silence. I sort of visualize it as sunshine. It's like, and we're little motes in this beam of light, sort of circulating, glittering in the silence.
They call it the quiet stillness that you sit there and listen for the voice within. And the voice within will sometimes give people words to say, but maybe not. You just sit there in silence.
Alice and I were talking yesterday about the temperance card, and because we were talking, we pulled some cards yesterday for ourselves, didn't we? And it was that temperance came up, and I think we've been so busy thinking about what we need to do and what we should be doing right now in conjunction with releasing the cards and launching them, that we actually forget to do that still moment.
Yes. Yes, that few moments of stillness and quiet can re-energize you amazingly.
We're often not allowed that space in today's world either, are we?
No. You've always got something drawing on your time.
And can I just
Go
say
on.
that looking at, I've got your two cards in front of us, bringing us back to these cards that we've created. So I have your two cards, and both of them emanate this stillness. And I think perhaps really speaking to you now and hearing what you have to say, your spiritual path has simplified so much from obviously the ornateness of being a Church of England vicar in these incredible church with the windows and the fancy outfits, through to the Wiccan approach, which was far less clothing, I imagine, and
clothing at all, in fact.
Well, exactly, skyclad, but being within that group and that kind of community, to now this very quiet Quaker approach of peacefulness. And I know that you've just kind of refound your lives after having looked after Granny, who's 101 for the past 10 years, and being really tied to that. And then you've kind of floated into this place where you're talking about golden motes in the sunshine. It's really gorgeous. But both of your cards that we created with you, with your bodies, are very peaceful cards. So I guess I will reveal them. So Dad, somebody actually, I said the other day, I can't remember who it was, but they picked up the Hermit and they said, Alice, it was in one of the other videos. They said, is that your mum? And I said, no, but you know, could be, may as well be. It's my dad, mum. There you are. That's the Hermit. That's you, Father.
Yeah.
That card.
With your kingfisher head on.
Can I ask a question to Niki?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why the kingfisher?
Well, that was Alice and I talking, wasn't it? And it was, we'd asked most people what head did they want? And I think you had said you would trust Alice to kind of go with it. And I think you said about the kingfisher, but actually the fact that you have kind of looked at so many different parts of spirituality over your life, maybe it is a symbol of that kingfisher kind of diving off and collecting information and then going back to your Wendy house of Alice's children and kind of thinking upon it.
That's insightful. Yeah,
that is insightful. Yes. So.
Yeah, and I like birds. I think I may have specified I'd like a bird.
Yeah, I think it's that lovely iridescent feathers they've got on their heads as well. They're amazing.
Yeah. So there you are, off into the Wendy house. What do you think, Dad? I mean, you have read tarot. I don't know that you do so much anymore, but how
It's always there. It's in the background. Yeah, I like it, and I like that I've got my Christmas pink clothes on. Yeah, and
that's you, though, isn't it? Pink.
It is.
Totally against the grain.
Yeah. I think you showed insight in giving me the Hermit, because that is sort of who I am. And yeah, I'm going back into Miss Sherland.
Yeah. Yes.
But kind of, there's a flamboyance too. It's sort of.
I loved the photos when they came through. They were amazing. There were so many of them, and you'd done so many walking up and down and doing different. It was just amazing. It was amazing because they were some of the first ones we were looking at. These, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
I like the backs. I've not seen the backs before.
There you go. That is the back of the cards. That's Nikki's
I
kind
like
of
that.
special magpie feathered insignia almost, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's our little hermit with you, Dad. And then the other cards, so with you, Aileen, which again has got this really peaceful essence, is we have the Nine of Pentacles.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
there with with your pheasant head.
Yeah.
Have your awesome socks, very witchy socks actually. We have the sundial out of Granny's garden.
Yeah. And yes, I'm just sitting.
I like how your hand is on the wheel though. It makes me think that you're ready for action.
Yes. Yeah. Always.
I wanted to ask you actually, Aileen, that what is the difference between looking at the cards with playing cards and how you started looking at them to how you look at them with pictures? Because I've never looked at playing cards and been able to read anything. So
very often I find the playing cards easier because they don't tell you anything very much. There's no pictures to get in the way. You have to intuit more, which I used to be a lot better at than I am. Lost it all when I became a witch, funnily enough. Lost lots of intuitive abilities. Hopefully I'll get them back. But I found it easier because you just look at the card, look at the person. And they tell you things.
Wow.
And it's amazing what silly things you can pick up. I lived in Leith for a few months in Scotland, and I read a guy's cards there for his birthday who was in his 80s and knew very little about him. But I said about him having brothers that he hadn't seen for a long time and that he was going to see one of them, just the one. And he said yes. He'd been a sailor. That's how he'd ended up at Leith. And he'd heard that his youngest brother, who was also a sailor, was sailing into Leith harbour in a couple of weeks. And he'd be seeing him for the first time in sort of 35 years.
Wow.
And that was playing cards, and that just worked.
Wow. It's that connection though.
That connection, yes. Just letting yourself flow into it. And when I had to stop work, and Tony stopped to be my carer. While we got all the benefits sorted out, we were really short of money. And we started doing tarot and charging, didn't we, professionally sort of thing, usually to groups, reading one person at a time. And then once the benefits were sorted out, the bookings dropped off.
Wow.
And we've not read since, have we? On a professional basis sort of thing.
No, we had that ability
while we
needed it, and then the universe said, okay, you can stop doing that now.
Yeah. It's very tiring. We were sometimes doing 10 and 15 readings of an evening between us. So yeah, it was a lot.
I do think the universe, or whatever bigger being, really interrupts our tarot reading. Firstly, because it does drain you.
Yeah.
I think that's why I like doing it now in groups and workshops. That's where my work tends to be going, is with bigger groups of people, because you spend the same amount of energy, but you've got at least a bigger group and they're giving back in a way. When you work for one person, as joyful as that can be, it does absolutely leave me exhausted. And I found that same pattern in my life as well, is that tarot readings come in when I have maybe needed the extra money or that kind of thing, and then they just ebb off and go. It's a really bizarre phenomenon, but definitely overseen by some spiritual manager.
Just trust it.
We create our own reality, and if we sort of trust reality to serve us, we trust the universe, then it will. I think.
Yeah, we've gone through periods where we've been scrapping around for money, and something has always happened, hasn't it? And sorted it out before we've gone cap in hand to your granny or something like that. Sold your father to slave traders or whatever. Something's always turned up. And it's having that trust of saying, okay, I don't want to be rich. I just want to be able to pay my bills, look after my children, and yeah, not asking for any more than that.
It's exactly what me and Niki have been sort of talking about, isn't it? Is where do you want to get to? And it's this 9 of Pentacles card, this with you, Aileen, is she has enough. She has enough and she's ready. She's got her hand on the wheel, ready to push if she needs to. But also she knows what is enough. And I think living in a really capitalist society, we're constantly being fed that we need more.
Yeah.
Although we're not going to have enough because everything is upside down and topsy-turvy and the bills are going up. And between those two things of fear and then trying to achieve this heightened billionaire existence, we end up frozen.
Yeah, and it's also like they say that we need to restart the economy. In other words, we need to go out and spend money. But we haven't got the money to spend. But you must, because it's a capitalist economy and it lives on people spending money.
Capitalism is mad.
It is.
Hopefully it's falling apart at the moment. That's what this pain is all about.
I mean, we've got, what is it, 1% of the planet that actually has more money than the other 99% put together.
Yeah.
People are worried about feeding the children, and these people making themselves a rocket to go into space for 10 minutes. You know, it's madness. We need to trust the universe to look after us. Sorry, shouldn't get on my high horse.
No, that's all right. The other question I was going to ask you is, how are you, as a bit of a sidebar, how are you both feeling now you've freed up a little bit more time for yourselves?
Strange. Because we spent a couple of years, well, more than a couple of years, being at the call of my parents because my father was ill. And then we moved to Kent to look after Tony's ma. So it has been over a decade of being at somebody else's beck and call, and it's really weird. You know, we've had our cat since 2015, and we realised that he'd never been left in the house on his own.
Right. Oh, bless him.
Oh, poor Marlo.
Yeah, never been in the house on his own. And now we're leaving him for hours at a time and the odd overnight and things like that. Breaking him in gently.
Is he okay?
He seems to be.
Yeah, I went to the vets this morning. He's out there in the garden washing his paw.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cat-like.
Yes, so he's had his vaccination, so he can go in a cattery, but as he hates other cats, we probably won't. And he's got to have some dental work done. But other than that, yeah, he's fine.
He's very resilient. Cats are very resilient. They're not like needy like dogs are.
No.
Yeah, he's very, yeah. We left him overnight last weekend and he didn't care, I don't think.
So you're actually able to go out and have some adventures again?
We can, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Went and had lunch at the Ivy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Did you sorry, just bringing it back to spirituality, and obviously you're doing your Quaker thing. Is there anything else that you do that maybe you have held on to from way back, from back in the teenage years with, you know, kind of Mick Jagger aspirations, or something further along that you do, that perhaps you do that has become really unconscious, that you wouldn't even think that you do, but that perhaps we could take as a little power move? So I don't know, you know, do you pray? Do you consciously manifest? Do you have affirmations in your head, or do you just none of those things? Do you pull tarot cards? Anything?
I sit and observe. I like to go down to the sea, which is now, 10 minutes walk away, and watch the waves for a bit. I think the sea, of all the things on this planet, is closest to being infinite and eternal, so it's an image of the divine. And its moods change. It's nice. It's never the same.
No.
Niki,
I give thanks every night for my life and the fact that I'm privileged to have a home and family and all the rest of it. And I suppose I've always sort of kept in contact with the Supreme Being, have chats with them.
I read a great deal and watch a lot of YouTube related to, I suppose what you could broadly call spirituality. I'm very interested at the moment, and have been for a long, long time, but more intensely now, and I feel I know more about it, in ETs, UFOs, the other. I think we're surrounded by the other. And to call them ETs is a simplification. They may be from other dimensions, they may be from the future or the past, or not necessarily from other planets, but they're here and they're interacting with us, and it's all very interesting, and they're probably us and we're them. And
I cook.
I love that grounding kind of attitude there. It's just like the one extreme to the other, isn't it?
He's an air sign, I'm an earth sign.
Yeah. We do complement one another in that.
But hearing you talk about the sea, yeah, very much. That's kind of like my thing. I connect every day going down to walk the dogs, and it's my one place. I just feel that it's just kind of, you realize how insignificant we are. We're just a speck of time, and this thing comes in and goes out, and there's no control over it, and it's just, I don't feel, I think if I lived inland, I think I would struggle with it. I like to be close to the sea.
Yes.
I mean, we haven't lived near the sea until now, but we've sort of been wanting to, haven't we?
We have, yes. He's gone.
I haven't. Oh, well, the
cat wants to come in.
Come on.
I'm quite envious of all this sea talk. When I do get to the sea, I do feel like I commune.
Say hello to Alison, Niki.
Oh, hi.
Hey, Mommy.
Doesn't he look happy?
Oh, yes. Well, there's a lot of sea in these cards because you're always there every day, aren't you, Niki?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. There's a lot of landscapes actually, and gardens, and I think it's that thing of just kind of trying to put as much in as we can. You're not going to find a beach one now.
I found a field that feels more like my energy, because that's my little plot of, well, this was your photo, but that's the sort of thing I see around here. There's no sea where I am, unfortunately.
Well, if there ever is, Alice, the rest of us
will be
floating.
I think we might be quite safe in Leicester, you can all come and live here. But yeah, the thing is, there's so much environmental kind of natural things within these images, but there's also the familiar. So we've got Jay's studio, my husband's studio in that card, or let me see, what else have we got?
Freezing.
I don't know, you can't see it there, but that's a step, isn't it? Is that round you, Niki?
Front doorstep.
Yeah.
There's your own doorstep with some of both of ours old toys. There's my shower being put in by my nephew Mason with an otter head on. There's so much there. So do you think you guys, when you get your hands on a deck of these cards, do you think you might have a little tarot resurgence for a moment?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to give them a try. See what I get. Take them down to Quaker meeting.
Well, that would be interesting. Yes. let's do that.
Yeah. See how many faint.
I'm not sure they.
No, I'm not sure they will either. I think they're quite likely to be open about it.
This is one of the things we like about Quakers, is that they are pretty open, broad-minded, unshockable. I don't know. We haven't tested them that far.
We will.
These cards are they're not so witchy. They're not really witchy. I don't think neither Niki or myself would consider ourselves witches. We're more like just people. She's an artist and I'm a writer, and
both artists.
I'm like a bit of an artist too. We keep trying
to make our magic, and
we're weaving something else.
Makes their own magic.
Yeah, and these cards come out of the domestic of every day. So, and that's where and I'm sure Niki finds their magic as well, their magic.
Yeah.
So.
Everybody's connected to magic. Some people just don't reach out.
Or reject it.
Yeah.
Refuse to have anything to do with it.
Yeah, because they think it's wrong. But we've all got the ability to heal. So...
Yeah, and I'm sure everybody is watching this would have their own experiences of something and things that have happened throughout their life that were definitely beyond the known and the ordinary. And that, for me, is a catalyst. It's a starting point, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, yes, everyone has these experiences. I've just been reading a book by an old bloke who really just telling his experiences of the high strangeness, and none of his examples are all that spectacular, and he's led a fairly ordinary middle-class British life, but he's had these experiences and he notes them and forms ideas about what they all mean.
Is that the hospice book?
It's the book, yes. We got it in the charity shop. Yeah, it's being sold for the hospice. All the profits going to the hospice fund. It's not a very wonderful book, but it's kind of every person's story of these sort of odd spiritual, strange things have happened to me, and we could all probably write a book like that, unless we're totally sort of shut off within materialistic thinking.
I love those kind of stories.
Yeah. Oh, when you were saying about the sea being pretty well eternal, I was reading the other day that water that goes upwards into a cloud will be there 5, 9, 20 days. Once it rains again, it could be 5,000 years before that drop of water goes back up into a cloud.
Wow, that's sort of like reincarnation, isn't it? It's an analogy of...
Yes. How they worked it out, I don't know, but there you go.
Talking about reincarnation, this guy did a past life regression, and he'd always been...
you? Is this your book?
No, it's this chap who I was reading. He'd always felt drawn towards Native Americans. So he did a past life regression, and he thought, I'll be a Native American. I found I was a Native American. Turns out he wasn't a Native American. He was a US cavalryman who massacred Native Americans. And one of the people he massacred was the woman he's currently married to.
Blimey.
Wow.
Blimey, yes,
Yeah.
it sort of shocked him rather.
Well, I hope
Present
he's
at
being
the
right. And
Sand Creek Massacre, which is a historic event.
yeah, I guess that shows that his spirit was kind of in a place of wanting to make some atonements there.
Yeah.
Wow. Somebody
Castle. Yeah. At least he didn't ring the doorbell, which is oh Susanna.
Oh, we got some eco stuff. Eco.
Lovely. Little advertisement. Some advertising money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you know what? Should we finish this up? And what I would like to do is have an open invite to you guys to come back another time, because this Rebel Heart Tarot talk, which is what this show is called, is going to be ongoing. Me and Niki are going to be hosting plenty of them.
Brilliant.
We'd love to have you back together, or separate interviews as well, just to talk through some of it. I mean, I feel like we've touched on so much stuff, and I feel like we could carry on about this. So please do come back again.
Will do.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
anytime you want to, we're free.
And in fact, what I'd really like to do is, when you do get a deck of Rebel Heart Tarot, maybe we could do an interview with you then, and you can sit and go through them and perhaps pull some cards for us.
Yes,
Ooh,
sure.
what fun. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So hopefully, I don't know when you might receive cards. Well, we know that the pre-orders will be going out the 8th of December,
Right.
but we will keep you posted. But thank you for being with us, and for everybody
thank you.
watching. Thank you so much. Loads more of these kind of videos and weekly guidance coming on Rebel Heart Tarot Talk. Please subscribe.
Will do. Thank you very much,
Thank
both
you.
of you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
I've stopped the recording now. No, I haven't.
Bye.
Hang on. You can stay if you want.